There are still elite players available in the portal, and Auburn's in it for a lot of them.
You are Locked On Auburn, your daily podcast on the Auburn Tigers. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Yes, welcome on into Locked On Auburn, your daily Auburn Tigers podcast. I'm your host, Zac Blackerby, and thank you so much for making Locked On Auburn your first listen every single day. Happy Charlie Tuesday to all who celebrate. We're joined by Auburn message board legend, Charlie 5, also known as Kyle Rush, the man over at the barn, Auburn.com. Hey, later in the show, we've got a message to all Auburn fans. I feel like we've got to do this every 6 months, and here we are. Again, that might get a little passionate. Not going to lie to you. Might get a little passionate. That's why I'm a little wound up right now.
Let's go.
Jeffrey Mba, we got to talk about him. Excuse me. We get to talk about Jeffrey Mba.
Oh, yeah.
We get to talk about Jeremiah Alexander, the former Alabama linebacker. But let's start things off with a little heat, a little bit of smoke that just appeared out of nowhere Monday evening. Damon Wilson, the former Georgia linebacker, the former Georgia edge, news breaks that he is set to enter the portal, and multiple sources saying, hey, multiple people reporting Auburn's interested in Damon Wilson.
Mutual.
And more importantly, yes, he's interested in Auburn, to the point where I had somebody from Georgia Connection reach out and say, hey, Georgia thinks y'all got him. Goodness gracious. Goodness gracious. What a dub that would be.
Let me tell you my favorite thing about him. This is my favorite thing about Damon Wilson. He's Damon Wilson the second, not junior. There's nothing junior about him. He's just Damon Wilson the second.
It's just like I'm the second one. I'm not the junior one.
I'm not the junior version.
Damon Wilson.
I'm just the second version. I've never seen that before. I've never seen
You've
that.
You've never
ever.
seen that before. Seriously?
I've never seen somebody be the second. I thought it's always junior, isn't it? Isn't it always junior?
Well, clearly it's not. Clearly it's not always.
Legally, you had to be junior, but
I feel like it's semantics at that point, but I don't know. Here's what I do know. This isn't one of those things where, like, okay, former 5-star player that didn't pan out, and so he leaves Georgia or he leaves Alabama or he leaves USC or Ohio State. We see these every year. Former 5-star guy that just didn't pan out. That is not what this is. This is a guy that with Georgia, the guy I talked to at Georgia was like, this hurts. He was expected to be the starter. Georgia lost Michael Williams. They lost Chaz Chambliss, both going to the NFL. He was kind of the expected guy to step in and the presumed starter going into spring for Georgia. This appeared to come as a shock to Georgia folks. And that, to me, gets me excited, Kyle.
I love it. I love it. Hey, 3.5 sacks last year in very limited playing time. I mean, he kind of checks all the boxes. Now you're starting to wonder this whole edge deal. Like, we're starting to get all these guys stacking them up. It's almost become like, what do you do with all of them? Like, how do you play all of them? Is
you
it
make life terrible for opposing quarterbacks, Kyle? That's what you do with all of them.
Can you play 5 edges at once? Can you put 5? Just a complete pass rushing package, all edges. That'd be a lot of fun. Maybe
we can direct snap it on offense to one of them from the 5-yard line. I don't know.
Hey, he's big enough. He's big enough and he's fast enough. Let's don't do that.
Yeah, no, obviously that is a question with all of this. And, like, what does this mean about Kelly that just came in? That's not his name. The Sam Houston State kid we just got.
Chris Kelly.
Chris
Kelly Murray.
Chris Kelly Murray. That's right. Yeah, like, what does this mean about Chris Murray? And so, like, obviously Kieron, Murray, Waller, Phillips, Smith. I don't know. Like, if you're Jamonte Waller or Joe Phillips or Jared Smith, like, this makes if Auburn were to get this guy, which early reports seem to think that Auburn's in it, you got to think Waller, Phillips, and Smith's path to playing time as either redshirt freshmen or true freshmen in this case, it gets a little tougher. It gets a little tougher. And in this age of college football, like, is that okay? Because this guy has 2 years left of eligibility. And so it's not like he's a one and done situation. Same with Chris Murray. And so if you're one of those guys and you're like, what does this mean for me? Like, it's a reasonable question to ask.
Sure. I mean, you can't, like, I was joking around about playing a bunch of edges at once, but like in reality, you got about 5 or 6 guys playing for 1, maybe 2 spots at a time. Like sometimes they put 2 edges out there, but for the most of the time, it's just 1 guy out there. That's tough. That's tough to want to sit and wait that long, especially when guys have multiple years. It'd be one thing if it was just a bunch of 1-year guys and you know they're going to be gone, but these guys you're going to be competing with over the next 2 seasons. But you know what? You said it before we got on. This is what great teams do. This is what good teams that want to be great, they do. That they get the best players available. I thought Auburn would be done at the defensive line, but I did say unless a unicorn pops up somewhere. And I think this guy fits that criteria.
A unicorn?
I think he fits this criteria. He's a gamer too. Look, he had 3 sacks this year. You're probably thinking, oh, probably against Tennessee, Chattanooga, probably against UMass, getting some mop-up duty. No, he had a sack both games against Texas and a sack against Tennessee. All top 5. I'm sorry, Tennessee was 7th. So all top 10 teams won in the SEC championship. I mean, the guy has a ton of talent. This is what great teams do, especially in the portal, when they find positions that are premium that they can get and they can stack, they go and get them. This is what everybody fawns over Lane Kiffin for doing.
Let me ask you this. What would you say was the biggest game of Georgia's schedule? Playoff
Texas.
Game against Notre Dame, right?
Or no, Notre Dame, yeah.
Yeah, right? I don't think that's crazy. Played 20 snaps in that game. 5 pressures.
20. I mean, what's that?
He rushed the passer on 10 snaps against Notre Dame. He had 5 pressures.
In other words, he's getting back there. This guy gets back there.
You want to know the game that he had the second most amount of pressures?
Tell me.
His name sound familiar at all? Auburn. Auburn was the other one. He had 4 pressures against us.
I've heard of him. Sounds like he was a menace. But
Sure. Yeah. So Damon Wilson, I do think it makes the room interesting. I do think it presents a few different variables as far as what does this mean for Waller, Phillips, and Smith. I don't know.
Spring.
But man, I don't think the great teams that we're trying to catch up to ever ask that question. Like every time Auburn fans, and I'm guilty of this to some extent because we're talking about it now, but like when Bama gets another 5-star in a room, when they were on their run with Saban, they never were like, well, what about so-and-so? They never said that. They said, good, another one who's ready to rock and roll. Yeah. Same with Georgia on this run that they went on with Kirby. When they get all these 5-stars, they're like, well, what about our current backups? Like, let them compete. So we got to shift our mindset on that for sure.
Competition, a lot of times competition is over 50% of development. Competition is I would say the heavier weight when you're talking about development. Competition to me breeds development more so than like this magic drill that this coach does or this formula or the system. To me, competition is
the magic what? The magic what?
Like people act like, oh, this so-and-so school puts this position into the NFL.
I'm not making I don't know what you said. The magic what?
Drill, like this drill or
the
this
magic drill. Oh,
practice.
Like in practice, like the rep.
Like
okay,
it just
got it.
Whatever just happens, they get to the NFL. No, a lot of that is because they're lined up and competing against other best players in the country. So I'm with you. Like you kind of brought me back to my senses right before we jumped on. I was like, man, it just seems like it's a little bit overkill.
Let me ask you this. What's the biggest talking point along the offensive line right now? We need better what?
Tackles.
We need better what? Offensive tackles. Who do they go up against in practice every day? I'm just saying.
Daggum edges.
I'm just saying. So we'll see. Damon Wilson, super interesting storyline to follow. Just a lot of Auburn smoke early and in the transfer portal. And we don't have a whole lot of time before classes start. I think that matters. I think that means something. So we'll see. We'll see certainly what that means. Early smoke with Jeremiah Alexander and Jeffrey M'ba, especially the M'ba smoke. It's not going away, and I think it's a good thing. That's next right here on Locked On Auburn. Today's show brought to you by our friends at Game Time. Game Time has you covered for any sort of ticket you can imagine. Can you imagine buying a ticket not on Game Time? No.
This is me saying no.
Yep. That is, you are shaking your head. You need to be I don't know. You need to be pulling out your phone and downloading the Game Time app. Right now, you can use promo code LOCKEDONCollege, all one word, no spaces, Locked On College for $20 off your first purchase. Doesn't matter if it's for football, for basketball,
anything,
for baseball. I'm not gonna lie, part of the reason I'm fired up right now is we just paused. We're watching Monday Night Raw on Netflix. Paused it, ran up here. I think that's why I'm so fired up today. Not going to lie to you, but I'm sure you could buy a ticket to that on Game Time as well. Take the guess. We're going to buying tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONCollege for $20 off your first purchase. What time is it?
Game time.
Thank you so much for making Locked On Auburn your first listen every single day. Jeremiah Alexander, the former Alabama linebacker. Auburn likes this guy a ton. Now, we heard a lot of this before the Damon Wilson chatter. Are they mutually exclusive? I don't think so. They're kind of, I mean, they're different players, so I don't think so. Hayes Fawcett of On3, he set the announcement of like when he entered the portal and his final 4 or 5, whatever that graphic was, where Auburn was on it, listed him as an edge. And that's not really what he played at Bama. So I don't know what that's about. I don't know if he wants to play edge, and that's part of why he left. No clue. No clue. But if he does want to play edge, you got to think they would take Damon Wilson over him.
I think so, but I think they want him at linebacker.
I think so too.
I think he's going to be a linebacker. I've said all along I expected Auburn to land an older linebacker. I think they needed to bring in an older linebacker with experience. Now, Jeremiah checks the older box. He'd be going into his 4th year. He'd be a redshirt junior. Not a ton of experience, though, but my gracious. I mean, he's playing behind Jihad Campbell and then Deontay Lawson. He came in that same class, and that's just tough. That's tough to crack that lineup. But you like the fact that he's been competing against those guys every single day for 3 years. So if they want him, I said it on the last show I did, I trust DJ Durkin with my life. So if that's the guy that he feels he needs is that older linebacker in the room, well, by God, go get him.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, especially a linebacker. It's like DJ Durkin. And I'm thinking if I'm Jeremiah Alexander and DJ Durkin is calling me, I'm like, yeah, okay. Yeah, let's do this.
I'll answer. And he came here on his first visit. Now, he does want to go to Clemson. There is a connection to Clemson.
And it sounds like we don't want him to go to Clemson based off of the folks that I've talked to.
Yeah, you got the Peter Woods connection from Thompson. And obviously, we have a lot of guys from Thompson.
Is that what it is? Okay.
Yeah. So that I think Peter Woods is a big, wants Jeremiah to join him. I think they were maybe in the same class. So
how
that makes
fun
sense.
is it? So sorry. How fun is it to say we have people from Thompson too? Because I feel like we couldn't say that long ago.
Like 2 years ago, we couldn't say that. Now we have a pile of them.
Yeah, it's like half of our defense. Like, Thompson, let's go.
Yeah,
let's go. And they're all good. Yes.
I'll take the bad ones, but just give me children from Thompson. They end up being players. I mean, just got look at
ball
Caleb
boy
Harris.
From Thompson. Yeah, let's see.
Sign him up.
Can't hurt.
Kicker. We'll take a punter. We'll take whoever from Thompson. Doesn't matter.
No kidding.
But yeah, I think he could be that. He could be that older veteran linebacker, even though he doesn't have a ton of snaps under his belt.
Yeah. Once again, like the path to playing time is there. I mean, you got to think Robert Woodyard's in a good spot to get snaps. DeMarcus Riddick's going to be the dude. I think. Like, is he the Mike though? Like, I don't know. I don't fully know that.
He's big, so he could be. He could be your Mike.
He could be for sure. And then, I'm not as high on Xavier Atkins as some people are. I love the athleticism. I just need to see it.
Yeah.
And I could totally see him putting it together. I just would like to see it. And then, DJ Barber, we all expect him to be good, but hasn't done it yet. And so it's like, if Jeremiah Alexander comes in, I'd put him as the 3rd linebacker right now behind Riddick, Woodyard, then Alexander. Is that crazy to say?
I don't think so.
Okay.
I don't think it's crazy to say. It's just potential over potential because nothing's really been realized yet out of that room. They're just so young.
Mm-hmm. Potential over potential. A Kyle Rush story.
Did I say that? Yeah.
So.
It's whose potential is greater than the other.
No, it made sense. I'm just quoting you. I think that's going to be like your biography when you're all done and you talk about the empire that you
how you
created.
do the Instagram graphic where it's like a quote and then you flip it to when you say that's what it's got to be. Potential over potential for tomorrow's graphic. So just put that in put that in the hopper.
Got it. Got it. I think I know what you're saying. Okay, sweet. And then Jeffrey Emba, former Auburn Tiger, now former Purdue Boilermaker. You saw a few folks put in like official picks and predictions yesterday. I think Nakos was one of them. Wilt Fong may have been the other. And usually those guys are all over it unless it's Naeem Offord, which is a total bummer. But I think we're all hearing the same thing.
Too soon.
Sorry. It's just I didn't mean to say that. It just came. I'm fired up, man. I'm fired up today.
Yeah.
But you know, everybody's saying that, you know, the Emba thing seems to be somewhat imminent. I'm honestly a little surprised it hasn't been announced yet. I'm just being 100% honest with you.
Yeah. I wonder if the international NIL stuff is still, they're trying to iron those details out. That's got to be what it is. That's the only thing that to me
our punter's an international player, right?
Yeah, but it's not. I mean,
Purdue figured it out. Why can't we figure it out?
Did they figure it out? I don't know what kind of NIL he was making. So
he was here like 2 years ago. Did we forget? I don't know. No clue.
I think, don't you remember last time? I think the whole thing was he couldn't like get NIL or something like that. It was something crazy.
I do vaguely remember that.
Yeah. And I hopefully that's something, maybe that's something they're getting cleared up, and that'll be something that's over pretty quick, because I think he finishes off your defensive line room. That I think's already going to be.
He's really important. Talented. Like,
I think so too.
Is it? And I don't know if he's going to like be some like great SEC defensive lineman all of a sudden, but like we need him. Like position of need, body. Like Malik Blockton can't play 60 snaps. Just can't. We've tried that before with other folks, with really talented folks. It's just like, you know, it just works better when you rotate guys in, and it would give you a clear 2 deep at every position on the defensive front without including freshmen, which going into spring, I think you certainly take. Yeah, for sure.
And I think he plays multiple. I think he could play multiple roles in a tight if you needed to. I think he could play inside and slide to that, you know, that defensive end type, big defensive end type role, especially when you're playing a team that runs the ball really well. I think he could be a player. I think he could be a huge asset. I'm ready for that thing to be over with. Because what a cool story that's going to be. I want to get him,
especially if he comes back and like kills it. Like, oh, that'd be awesome.
Yeah, I want to get him. I want to get him on the pod. I'd love to talk to him.
Yeah,
the whole story, the whole the route back to Auburn.
Like, Jeffrey, tell me all of it.
Tell me all of it.
All of it.
Don't ever repeat that again.
No, bad.
Take that right now. What you just said. Remember it, and then never say it again. Never ever say it again.
Really focus on it, and then just delete.
Yes, delete it.
So sorry.
Control Alt Delete.
So sorry to everyone involved and everybody that's listening to this show or watching it. So sorry. I don't know what kind of mood I'm in tonight.
I love it though. I dig it.
Do you?
Some people are going to hate it. There's
going to be a thread and a board tomorrow about how obnoxious I am. I'm just totally ready for it. That's fine. That's fine.
I love that you said it was the wrestling that got you.
Wrestling
got you jacked up.
Yep.
Who
Never
even
watched
wrestles
it before.
anymore? Who are the big wrestlers right now?
We're in the middle of the something Reigns, whatever.
Okay.
We learned he's the OTC, the original tribal chief.
Oh.
And he just threw some dude through a table, and it was one of the most electric things I've ever seen in my life.
Putting somebody through a table or hitting them with a chair,
what else do you want?
Nothing gets your blood pumping.
What else do you want? If you could pick one player on this roster, on Auburn's current roster, to throw you through a table, who are you picking?
A punter. So let's just go with Alex McPherson.
Okay. Got it. That
was probably mean, but
I don't think so. I don't think it was mean.
You know where I was going with that?
Mean. No, I don't.
No, that wouldn't be it. So it wouldn't be as painful. That's what I was going for. I was trying to go with the least painful.
I understand. Okay. We got a message for Auburn fans in a second. I've just saw a lot over the last few days, and it's weird. It doesn't make any sense. That's next, right here on Locked On Auburn. Today's show is brought to you by our friends at FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. Can you imagine wagering anywhere other than our friends at FanDuel? Can you imagine it?
Cannot do it.
Right now, new customers can bet $5 and get $200 in bonus bets guaranteed. That's $200 in bonus bets, win or lose. The FanDuel app gives you everything you need for live bets, same game parlays, and so much more. Just visit FanDuel.com to join today and get started with $200 in bonus bets. That's at FanDuel.com. And of course, FanDuel is the official sports betting partner of the NFL and the Locked On Podcast Network. Final few moments on today's edition of Locked On Auburn. What a wild ride. What a wild ride it's been.
We've talked about a lot of topics.
A lot.
So many. We
Some
threw wrestling
good,
in there.
Some bad. Throwing people through tables for sure. For sure. Let us know who you'd want to throw. Who you would want to throw you through a table among current Auburn Tigers. Let us know in the comments down below or start a thread over at thebarnauburn.com.
We're going to do a poll question on the barn.
Yeah. I don't fully know my answer yet. It's probably an offensive lineman, but I don't know.
Why? Why do you want the guy? That's
because it needs to be hard enough for the table to break.
Not why.
I feel like it would hurt less if maybe the table gave.
If it gave a little bit, yeah.
You want it to like
but you don't want them to throw you like through the give, if that makes sense. Like you want it to have some give. So So I don't know. That makes you gotta think a little bit more there.
Yeah. So
like Jordan Crawford, don't let him throw you through a table because
you're gonna hit the ground. I think that's
you're gonna hit the ground immediately.
Yeah. Maybe like Horatio Fields.
Oh, that's a good one.
Maybe
a good wide receiver. We're getting way off. We're getting way overanalyzing.
So something that I've seen over the last few editions, and it's weird to me. It's very strange to me, and this happens every portal window. It seems to happen, anytime there's a flurry of commits or whatever, like we see this stuff. I just want to remind folks, and Kyle, we do this show, 3 or 4 times a year, a segment about this specifically. I just want to tell folks, it's okay to be excited about things. Yeah. Last year stunk. Last year was a total disaster for several reasons. And we all roll our eyes, but it's true. And it's like, but this team is close. It's so close on so many things. And they were just like really good at finding different ways to lose. And you just talk about like bringing guys in to help fix this culture. Because the annoying the people that are like downplaying the addition of Chris Murray or, oh my gosh, you guys just get excited about everybody. Whatever. But all the things that I guess the doubters or the critics say about what Hugh Freeze and his staff have done so far in the portal, if you would have asked them going into the portal, it's like, well, what do you need? What do you think they need to do? They would say, well, probably need to bolster the offensive line, probably need some receivers, definitely need a new quarterback, and probably some depth on the defense. And it's like, what else did you want?
Check. Well, here's the deal. Here's another thing, Zach. Your level of excitement has no effect on how that team plays next year. Like that is true. Getting excited has no bearing. Getting not excited has no bearing. The way you react to how things happen has zero bearing on how the team will perform. So like people that say, I'm not getting my hopes up anymore. Well, you can do that, but it's not going to change the product that's on the field. Now, may it change how much it hurts?
Yeah.
No. Let me tell you why. Because you're lying to yourself. You're not really you're just saying words. You're getting excited. Like you're trying to pretending.
You can comment all you want. I'm over this team. And it's like, bro, you were watching an Auburn football show in January and you're commenting at 7:30 in the morning.
Yeah.
I hate to break it to you. You care. I'm glad that you care because we care too. That's why we're all in this together. So
you're not fooling anybody. We know you're excited. We know you're booging. No matter how much you want to not boog, you're still booging. So you can't fool us.
Yeah, I know there's a lot of contagious things out there, but the boog is number one. It's hard not to boog. It's hard not to, and that's okay.
I know boog when I see it, even if it's incognito, even if it's being disguised. When I see it. Even if it's disguised as negativity, I can see through it. You're not fooling me. How can you like if you're just taking it on a case by case basis and you're just looking at the series of events that have happened and throw this, don't even think about the season, just what's happened afterwards. How can you not be at least satisfied with what has been done to remedy in theory, the issues that caused some of the problems this past season. You've kind of done all those things.
And I do think that there's some I do think that there are some arguments against what this staff is doing. But those aren't the arguments being made. Like, if you don't believe in Jackson Arnold, I'm really not going to push back on that. I will ask a few questions, but like, I get it. I get why you're not sold on Jackson Arnold. But that's not really what I'm seeing. Like, that's not really what the pushback is. The pushback's more about the losses from last year, which a lot of them we all blamed on quarterback or scheme. My other main thing is where I could see like doubters be like, until the scheme or the play calling changes, I'm going to have issues. That I totally get. But when you're commenting on a video about a transfer portal edition, I'm like, I don't know what you're doing here. I just don't understand.
And hey, what could it be that when you can remedy a weakness on offense, it changes the play calling? Is it possible that if you feel like you can block a little bit longer, you can call those extra pass, like you can call some different pass plays. If you feel like
maybe.
you can do,
maybe
you can exactly. So that you're kind of you're cutting your nose off to spite your face if you're mad about certain portal players because you're worried about play calling when these guys you're adding could help remedy some of the play calling.
Yeah, or maybe they have the magic drill. Maybe they figure out what the magic drill is. They could have the magic drill.
They could have it.
Season. So
you just show up and they develop you. That's a conversation for a whole nother day. I don't like it when Auburn does it too.
Yeah. Nope, you're right.
It bothers me.
I get it. I get it. Huh. What a show. What a show. Let us know your thoughts in the comments down below. I'm really interested in this one. Kyle, how can people check out everything you've got going on?
Absolutely. Find me on Twitter, _Charlie_5. You can subscribe to the barnauburn.com message board. You still got a little bit of life left in the portal mega thread. It's $25 off for 2025. Annual membership for only $75. Definitely give it a shot. I think you'll enjoy it. You'll have some fun at the same time. And then you can catch me on the Top Button Podcast anywhere you get a podcast, and subscribe to our YouTube channel, The Barn Auburn.
Yeah, Brad Law and I do a show over there called Village Vice. It's on the Barn Auburn YouTube page as well. So please go subscribe and like our stuff over there. Like this video, subscribe here as well. We'll see you next time. This has been Locked On Auburn.